The best places to visit in Florida. I've lived in Florida for about 14 years, and there are some pretty nice places that you could visit. Whether you live in Florida already and you just want to see the sights, or if you are outside of Florida and you just want to come in and see some interesting things. So I'm going to jump right into it. I'm going to start with probably one of my absolute favorite places to visit, which is Siesta Key in Sarasota, Florida. So Sarasota in general is a small little city or town, very attractive place. It can get a little bit crowded just because it's such a popular area. Really, it faces the Gulf of Mexico, very attractive place. But specifically, Siesta Key is one of the most beautiful beaches that you could possibly visit in the whole state of Florida. The thing that makes it really attractive is the sand. It is a very special type of sand. It's super fine. I've said before in one of my previous videos, it's very similar to powdered sugar or flour. It's just super fine and powdery. And it stays cool to the touch. It's almost like snow when you step on it. Not that cold, but it has that little crunch to it. Very, especially when it's a hot day, that sand, which is white, it's, very pale type of sand, stays nice and cool, so you don't overheat. The beach is very, very large, very expansive, and of course you have a beautiful view of the Gulf of Mexico. It is particularly beautiful when you wait until sunset, because it sets right in front of you. So it's a very attractive place. There are also lots of little bars and restaurants, tropical themed places that are nearby. So it's just a very attractive place to visit, especially if you want to see a very, very pretty beach. Now, besides Siesta Key, I would say St. Augustine is also a kind of must-see place, especially if you're really into history and that sort of thing, because St. Augustine is one of the oldest kind of settlements, not only in Florida, but in the entire United States. It was founded by the Spanish many hundreds of years ago, and even if you go there today, you can still see very old architecture, old forts, these big old stone forts, and some Spanish architecture. It's a very interesting place to go, very picturesque. You can get some good pictures there. And of course, there are plenty of restaurants and things to do, museums, historical areas, and it's pretty close to the water as well, but definitely a very interesting place for history buffs especially, and also anyone who just wants to see some interesting architecture and very old buildings. Now, the next one, which is kind of one of the more obvious places, is Key West, which is the southernmost point of the United States. I have not been there. I have been meaning to go there for a very long time, but I know it is an extremely attractive place. It has that big monument for being the southmost point of the country, which is a nice picture opportunity. Besides that, it's a quaint little area with lots of different restaurants, little bars, little things to see. It also has a famous key lime pie shop, which is kind of a must-see thing to have if you are going to Key West. But besides that, of course, it's a beautiful area. It's the Keys. You have that blue water, the sun, the nice warmth and the ocean breeze. So Key West is an extremely picturesque place to be if you do plan on doing a real Florida trip. Now, in the same vein as the Keys, if you really want to go a little bit farther, you can go to the Dry Tortugas National Park, which is technically part of the Keys. You can't drive there. The only way you can get there is by a ferry, for the most part. It takes maybe an hour to get there from the ferry, but it is a very interesting, very beautiful place to go. It has the main island, which has a very large brick structure, which is also one of the largest brick structures in the whole world. But it has a few different islands dotted around it, has that really blue water, very tropical sort of feel to it. The brick fort that it has is very old. It was used during the Civil War, has a lot of history there. And just the whole national park is just a very unique place to see. And there are some things to do there as well. Mainly snorkeling. You could see tons of birds, tons of wildlife, the fish, the reefs, lots of wildlife, sightings and opportunities there. And the last thing I'll mention on this list is Clearwater Beach. Clearwater Beach is kind of on par with Siesta Key Beach in terms of how pretty it is. It is similarly very, very vast type of beach. The water there is super blue. Palm trees, it has the whole vibe that anyone could want when they go to the beach. Now, the only problem is that it's usually very crowded. I tried getting to Clearwater Beach once and I had to turn around because it was so packed up with traffic. You could sometimes be sitting there for 2 or 3 hours just trying to get there. But that's usually in the peak season, when the snowbirds are coming down. So if you go kind of in the off season, you probably won't even have that problem and you can enjoy that beach more for yourself. But that is pretty much the main places I have to mention for this list of places to visit in Florida. So hopefully you found this video helpful, and if you did, of course, leave a like, maybe subscribe, and I make videos throughout the week, so stick around for those.